All right, team. So this is now our third part of the series that we have. And this particular series, we are going to focus on the coaching itself now when we are giving feedback to our teacher. So on this particular video, before we watch the video, let's go ahead and points to ponder on what to look at. How does Ashley launch her feedback meeting? And what are all the steps that she's taking or she took in guiding her teacher? Those are the two questions that we want to ponder upon once we watch the video.
Weeks before spring break. Over but he was either checking and circling, but each round he knew what he was looking for and was like, okay, yes, this is right right now, come back. What impact do you think this had on student learning? Well, it's definitely something that I need to work on, which is the actual physical coverage that allows kids to kind of have like a which is so thank you for your practice. You just mentioned a little bit of this. So to your practice today, what is the biggest difference between
Here's one of the key beliefs we have. If you want a teacher to get it, get them to see it. To see it is to believe it. So those one of the key beliefs that we have. And in other words, you want your teacher to see what it is that you're trying to get them to do. So that way it's easier for them to follow through. You have to see the success. Name where the teacher has succeeded in implementing the feedback. So that's where you can also do your positive reinforcement. And you have to see the model. In other words, you have to narrow the focus of what you want to achieve. You have to name the exemplar or the purpose of what you're trying to achieve. And if you're unable to name it exemplar, then you can show a model. Then you have to be able to see the gap. In other words, what is it that is missing? What is the gap or what's missing between what we are expecting, which is the model, and how your class is today? So your teacher has to see where they're, I don't want to say falling short, but where they could be better, the growth opportunities for them. So that way they can see where they need to go. So here's another video we are going to watch. We are now doing the name it now. Okay.
So let's put all this together because you just really identified the gap.
So part of the follow-up question is, what does Ashley say and do to ensure her teacher knows the action step? That's the question. You don't lock in learning until you stamp it. Transformative action steps name the what you are trying to do and how you are going to do it. If you are now having a conversation with your teacher, one of the better ways is to prompt the teacher to name the action step based on the discussion. So you kind of want to prime the teacher up a little bit so that way they're not just staring at you. You punch the action step with the what and the how. So when you're creating the action step already, you have to focus on what is it that you're trying to do and how you're going to accomplish it. And what your action step is to monitor aggressively is an example, and how you're going to do it is creating a monitoring pathway, and two, create codes, and three, etc., etc. So you have to be very specific about how you're going to achieve this, and lock it in. Ask the teacher to write it down. So in other words, you can verbalize it with the teacher, you can talk to the teacher, and at the end you still want to make sure that the teacher writes it down so that way they have their own copy and they can retain it better. So now we're going to watch the do it video.
Planning. So let's jump into some planning. So open up your lesson plan. And what I have sent you in your email is a chart that I want you to include in your lesson plan. And so what it has is column one. I want you to start to identify what are the keys to an ideal answer. Think through the names for each of those labs and the code for those.
those.
So take 3 minutes to fill in that chart, and I've created a chart myself, and we'll spar with what we both got. Okay, take 3 minutes. Alright, so I essentially have about 3 or 4 boxes. I kind of condensed it into 3. So the first step was, the name was I'm looking for your completed square. So my ideal answer is to have all 4 completed boxes correct, including the signage in each. My code, I feel like it should be really simple for this. It's just going to be a circle and a check.
Okay. Take a look at that.
Oh, you got 3 boxes too. Okay.
So yes, I also looked at 3 keys for the ideal answer. What are your key takeaways?
I like how you have questions to ask in terms of the code, so it's not just circle for incorrect or box, but if my kids do have it incorrect, what is that prompting question? I like that a lot.
Yep.
Did you, instead of saying bouncing on both sides, did you use the additive property for your equation? I like that language.
Take 1 minute to revise yours.
Again, so one of the key beliefs we have is that we have to perfect the plan before we practice. You cannot practice well until you know what you are looking for. That is indeed a true statement that we have to adhere to in order for us to be able to guide our teacher to better practice. And so here's another video of the practice.
What I have around the room are your
What final steps does Ashley take to get her teacher to master the action step? And perfect practice makes perfect. You have to meet your teacher on the point of error.